feel like I can take a breath. I thought that I could take a breath after I got off work, but I was still running around. Give myself 30-minute buffer and still running around. Anyway, it's almost time for us to get started. But let me see. Was there anything I wanted to share with y'all before we get started? They don't know about the well. They really don't. I mean, we be speaking in hypotheticals, for these fictional characters, theoretically, to the well. That's not to say that I don't have a real one. Y'all think I'd just be saying this stuff for fun? Yes, I do. I just say this stuff for fun. There's no well here. You did spring cleaning, reorganizing, and only at 7 p.m. realized you hadn't eaten. Eat. Okay? That's all I can say. So, now, yes, exactly. Get something to eat, NFS, before you get a whooping. This is little sister scolding you now, since you usually are scolding me or something of the sort. Oops, I've gone back too far. BG3. I have no idea what that means. And anytime I see BG, my brain thinks background. So it's weird to read. Like my brain is like, going to play background 3 with you in the background. And I know that's not what that is. But that's just what my brain said. You yes ma'amed as you boil your potato. Good job. So let's go ahead and get started with chapter 62, shall we? Y'all ready? Potat, tatop. I believe it's what I said in the chat. Just reversed it. Tatop. Patata. So, chapter 62. Wait. I always try to remember to say something about the chapter we read before that, which, of course, we had Gufujo. Okay, still don't know what it is, but okay, I know it's not background. We have Gufujo saying, well, if I can't be your bride, since, you don't want to see me looking all beautified as a general, but we understand that between Xiao Cheng and the emperor lusting after Lin Qingyu, he was like, well, you could be my bride once again, huh? And then Qingyu is like, I mean, I've already worn the bridal robes twice. And he's like, twice? And he's like, nothing. And he's like, Qingyu. So that was the end of chapter 61. So then getting into chapter 62, we start out with the emperor having to once again manage government affairs while being sick, and his migraines are getting worse because Xiao Cheng is currently out for the count. Okay. It's a video game. Well, yes, I know it's a video game because they said they'll play it. I'm just saying, like, I don't recognize the game, but I also don't play video games anymore. I didn't play it much when I was younger anyway, but yeah, I just don't recognize the game itself. Also, did you mean to push Y? Video? Because it just looks funny. Okay. So yeah, he's sick, but he's having to do things because Xiao Cheng is out for the count. And then there are still the investigations going on by the Tianji Guard to find the culprit of his stabbing, right? Shen Huaishe. And the emperor ends up reinstating Qin Rushan, which was against what the crown prince had done. But he reinstates him as a head physician because we need him as a head physician, right? And then so at one point, while Qingyu is tending to the emperor, he speaks to him about his health, right? And, when he's like, oh, who's going to take on my worries and stuff? Because Qingyu is like, you need to not worry. And he's like, well, who's going to take hold of that for me? And he's like, you have more than one son, right? And the emperor's like, How dare you say that? And he's like, I'm so sorry, Your Majesty. And he's like, okay, he didn't really mean anything by it. It's okay. That's how that whole thing went about in my head. Yes, you did. And so then after that, he eventually suggests that the emperor, okay, like you just need to get some rest. And what does the emperor say? I'm just going to read it directly. I suggest that you take a break. All right, the emperor nodded. Sleep with me tonight then. Okay. Greasy. And so, what Qingyu does is decides to remind him of how he brings misfortune with him. He's like, oh, my mother hasn't been feeling well recently. I went to pray for her at the temple, and we met Censor in Chief Yang Gang. And you know what? He was saying that male wives are bringers of misfortune, and I shouldn't be overly close with men, and I'm still in mourning. Oh my gosh. And if I wound up bringing Great General Gu bad luck, even dying 10,000 times wouldn't atone for my sins. And the emperor's like, oh shit, yeah, he's unlucky. So he's like, nope, never mind. You're dismissed. That's fine. We don't gotta sleep together. Greasy. Exactly, Megan. I know that's a really ugly sound that I just made. I don't want to play that back. So he gets himself out of that, but it's alarming, okay? Because it's clear that sooner or later, sooner than soon, the emperor is going to make his move. Like that was already him attempting to make one, and then Qingyu was like, so anyway, then we move forward, and we have the crown prince, as said by the general. He woke up from his coma. Boo. Very much boo. Anyway, all he can think about is Shan Huaishi. Anything concerning the government, he doesn't care about. Shoot, anything concerning Qingyu, he doesn't care about. He's just like, where the hell is Shan Huaishi? Bring him back to me. And he's so upset. He's so volatile, all of that stuff. And he's basically said a big F you to the empire. So then, Qingyu, he goes to visit General Gu when he's doing push-ups. And he has his shirt off. And he's like, 89, 90, 91, And then when Qingyu arrives, he's like, oh my gosh, you're seeing me naked, half naked. And he's like, dude, I've seen it all before. Like, I literally helped bathe you. And he was like, yeah, but that was that body. This is this one. And so it was just interesting. But Qingyu was just like, it's really not that serious. So then I have a note on page 234. So, no, listen, that was a very good interpretation of what I typed. It was. That's nice to know. So then they just start chatting, because he was like, that was my previous body. You haven't seen this body naked. And then he started talking about his past life when he could play. I think he mentioned playing basketball and stuff. And I just have a little note here that I love how easy it is for both of them to just talk about Jiang Dazhuang, that's what I'm still calling him, and his transmigratorism. There's just like any moment of that. He's like, oh yeah, back where I was in the past, I played basketball. Where I was, they had these, I don't know, these devices. Or back here, when I did that there, it was like this and that. I just think it's so cool how they're both so comfortable with this concept, because I'm thinking in reality, well, only because we have transmigrator books that exist, I think it would be easier for me to believe maybe that someone transmigrated. But it ultimately, I feel like it would be very hard to believe someone is a transmigrator, in real life. But they're just talking about it like it ain't nothing. And I love that so much. So then when we move forward, we have that Qingyu is like, hey, yeah, so we need to get married as soon as possible. And General Gu is kind of like, oh, what happened? You were kind of trying to find other plans and stuff first. Now you just want to get married. And so, of course, we know it's because of the greasy, greasy, greasy emperor. Like, you can't protect yourself from the emperor unless. So he's like, yeah, we got to get married. So then Gufujo is like, well, I want to propose right. Okay. And that scene was so funny. I have to go back to it because he was like, if that's what you think. Well, first off, he was like, will we be forced to getting married? So our lives as a married couple will be as it is now. And Gufujo is just like, if that's what you think, then I'm not proposing seriously. But then Qingyu is just like, propose? What propose? A plan? And it's like, oh, right. Because proposing, I guess, would be more of a term that we have now. Whereas back then, and it still is that meaning today, when you propose something, you're presenting something, which is still the same, but presenting an idea, or something like that. So it was just interesting to see that. But we move forward. He's like, yeah, I have to do it right. And the thing that I really love is he, shows this ring. And he's like, I think it was a ring made of pure gold, decorated with simple embossment. And so Gufujo starts telling Qingyu about the tradition of ring giving, for proposals. And this is what it signifies to marry someone, blah, blah, blah. And so Qingyu is just listening. And he's like, man, this really just sounds like a completely different world. But the thing that stood out to me was on page 235, where it said, ever since they had met, it was always Gufujo who adapted to the customs of Great Yu. And Lin Qingyu thought he should respect those of Gufujo's hometowns on occasion. So he made to slide the band onto his third finger. Now, that's not the way it's supposed to be done, which Gufujo did stop him, but I just thought it was so nice that basically he was like, he's always making concessions for where we live. And since this is a custom from where he's from, okay, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go with this. Like, it was so well intended. I loved that so freaking much. You said Qingyu literally treats it as if he is from far away with different culture and different dialects. Right. I'm like, sir, this is still the same areas or the same country, just years later. But he's not from somewhere different. Hi. First time in the chat. English is not your first language. Totally understand. Well, welcome. I'm just gonna call you Ronk, Ronk follower. Nice to see you here. Everyone's saying welcome. Yes, welcome. Right? What a username. You're a simp. Ah, you're one of those. I'm just kidding. Honestly, in the books and in the Donghua, Qirong is, obviously he looks like Xielian, so he's hot, Can't even knock you. But still into girls. Story Jumper, is it you that says this every time? Every live session when something like intimate happens, you're like, but still into girls. Look, usually people are saying this to me, but I'm going to say this to you. I feel like that needs to be a shirt. But still into girls. Actually, you could say, but still into girls - Story Jumper. So it's so sweet that Qingyu consciously tries to respect Gufujo's customs, right? He's the good dad. He said, it is you. Yes. But let's go ahead and do this. Where was I? But yes, welcome again. Okay. One thing that you will learn, at least for this series, I don't know if you like green grapes or not, But we eat frozen green grapes during this live session. At least I do. And I have apparently converted some people to frozen green graperism. So all you got to do is just put your green grapes, you can pull them off the stems, wash them. That's important. Not just for cleanliness, but also for just, I don't know, how they freeze. But put them in the freezer. It usually takes several hours, but just do it overnight. So on Sunday night and on Wednesday night, go ahead and freeze your grapes, and then you can take them out of the freezer for the live session and you can eat them with me. Now, if you don't like green grapes, then literally just screw everything I just said. Everything. You said you love ramen. At least I'm assuming the W is for R. I love ramen. In fact, I was thinking about making some today. And I might. Actually, I still might. I think I will. My goal is to have ramen at least once every other week. And you love grapes. Heyo! Heyo! Also, I see someone has put in our Discord chat a theory. So I'm going to read it. Okay. I don't think that this is a spoiler. No, I think this is just a theory. Okay. So I'm going to share this. It's from Auxiliary. And actually, no, let me finish this chapter really quick. Sorry. Okay, yeah. So after that whole thing, we have Qingyu. He takes a moment to think basically about the latter half of his life, or the latter half of Gufu Zhou's life. And he thinks for himself, and he's like, okay, if there is a life in which I never marry a woman, I never have kids, and I spend all of my moments with Gufu Zhou and just bantering, joking, raging, plotting, and being up to no good together until the end of our lives, that seemed acceptable. But still into girls. I swear now I'm going to start using that. It seemed acceptable. Right. Okay. So here is, hold on, there we go. Here is the photo from the full view. And then I'm going to zoom in to the hands because those hands are done gloriously. Oh my gosh. I ain't gonna do hands worth of jack. And then boom. Look at them. Oh my gosh. So that is pretty much the end of that chapter. And then of course, Gufu Zhou is just like, promise me that, you know, that you won't look at me with disdain if I ever go bald, get fat, lose my abs. And Qingyu is just like, never. Let's see. Are y'all talking about Qirong? I have no idea because I listened to the Chinese version. It's very rare that I listen to dubs. You say, ring time, so cute. Don't at me with dame hands, cries incompetent. Look, I'm probably incompetenter. I'm incompetenter than you. Okay, I promise you. You said you were in love with them and all. Yes. So here's actually, you know what? I'm gonna save your theory until the end, Auxiliary. Just please, please, please remind me to state your theory at the end of these chapters. Because again, I don't think it's a spoiler. I just think it's your thoughts and you're thinking ahead. So anyway, that is chapter 62 and the glorious picture. When we move to chapter 62, we have Lin Rushan, that's Qingyu's father. He is reinstated and became the head physician once again. So since he's done that, okie dokie, since he's done that, now he is taking over again as the emperor's physician. So Bye bye Ting Yu for that specifically. But the emperor is so sad about it because, oh gosh, Qing Yu was a sight for sore eyes, and his dad is just like a regular handsome guy. Okay, what did it say? Um, yeah, that's pretty much it. So, moving forward, we have Xiao Cheng. Like I said earlier, he gets more temperamental, more violent, and even though like his wounds are healing, it's just like taking away all of his vitality. Like, so his attitude just makes it worse. Like, you already don't have the energy for all of this stuff. What are you doing? So, yeah, still no sign of Shan Huaisher. They mentioned this once again. And then when Rushan gets home, he sees General Gu proposing. Dun, dee, 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 dee. He said, highly recommend going back in and listening to / watching the dub T-Wrong episodes just to appreciate the one voice actor. Because, wow. I mean, I've heard some of the English before because I've watched, like, you know, people posting little clips and stuff on TikTok. Also YouTube, because I watched Danny Mata's reaction. And of course, he watched it in English. So I know what the characters sound like. I just didn't like it. I think I liked T-Wrong's voice, but everybody, not necessarily everybody else's voice, but I don't think I really liked anyone's voice in the English dub. So I don't know if that's just because I don't like it, like their voices or the voicing for each character, or if just because I just like the Chinese voices. Those are the ones I heard first, you know, so I'm not sure psychologically speaking if that's the case or not. But I do know that oftentimes whenever I try to listen to a show, an anime in English, or even a show in English, I usually don't like them. I think MHA was one of those rare instances that I did. Was there any other one? I think I was also okay with QJJ, but I didn't love it. I still preferred it in the regular native tongue. You watched both? It's almost a different show. You said the English dub really adds another layer to the show. If that is your opinion, I will not argue with it. You can only watch the dub because dyslexia, not the stars around it. Okay. Still give precedence to OG. I like it better, but TGCF English dub is really done well. Well, I'm glad y'all like it. I'm glad there are lots of people that like it, you know, because these people are working and they need to get their money. So, where was I? So yeah, he gets home and General Gu is proposing. But it's surprising, but that's not the most surprising thing. What's most surprising is the fact that Qing Yu is just cool with this. He's just going along with it. Both of his parents are like, son, you just cool with this? Like, what about, even his mom's like, what about Wan Chong? What about him? And so his father, like, from both of their explanations, his father understands that, like, okay, this marriage is not only a form of protection for General Gu, it's a form of protection for my son. I see what they're doing. I'm okay with it. I have no arguments. And I'm like, yeah, you go, Dad. He's like, that's fine. That's whatever. So with that, General Gu immediately goes to the palace because, yes, we need to immediately solve this to get that disgusting, greasy emperor off of Qing Yu. So there's also an emergency memorial that comes from Yongliang, from the general that's currently stationed out there. And basically, Western Xia made a comeback. And they even stole 3 of the small cities. And so the soldiers have lost a bit of morale because they're losing. And it's like, okay, General Gu needs to go back. So the maritals have to be handled so that he can go back straight away. So General Gu says to the emperor that he had his romantic prospects divined. And what were they divined as? the exact same divination for Luan Chang, and that is Lin Ting Yu. We don't have to go to the specific hour, month thingy thing. It was divined Lin Ting Yu. That's what that is. And so from that, the emperor is pissed. He's like, excuse you, you can't marry him. Like, he is literally the 5th rank imperial physician here. What are you talking about? We can't do that. He can't be a male wife. And Gufu Zhou is basically like, yeah, we not having this discussion. Look, he's already my spouse. And the emperor was like, how are you calling him your husband? I mean, your wife. And I haven't even like allowed this yet. But he was like, well, just as your majesty said, what I must settle down so I can charge into battle at Yongliang fearlessly. And so give me my wife. And the emperor is like hearing the threat in Gufu Zhou's words, like, well, guess I won't be going to battle until I marry my wife. Woe is me. Woe is the great Yuri Empire. So the emperor approves it. He doesn't decree or declare anything. Divined. 1 second. Actually, wait. I don't think I need to sit that there. Divined. Also, let me go back up really quickly. I wish we could get a Master of Diabolism dub. Oh yeah, you know what? We don't have one of those. And that's a complete one. That's interesting. Huh. He was so ready for this. Parents are like, yes, he is happy this time around. We support. The subtitles go a mile a minute for that one. Dang. Your favorite reactions are from the servants. I'll go over those really quickly. I just gotta go look at them. Boom, take that, emperor. So hold on. Let me go to since it was mentioned. I didn't write that down in my notes because I try not to write down every tiny little detail anymore like I did for the first volume, which was very taxing. But let me see. I'm trying to see if I can just quickly find the way that the servants reacted during this. I'm not seeing anything. Do you mean in later chapters? Because I know they do have reactions, but I'm not seeing it in these chapters. Okay, I'm gonna leave it alone for now. You said, Gufu Zhou, if you want me on the battlefield, give me my wife first. Pretty much. Like, that's your only option here. There's nothing else. So then we have, like I said, the emperor was like, fine. So then there's a bunch of gossip going around because they just love to gossip, right? And a lot of people are accusing Qing Yu of having seduced the general. And the general happens to, I spy with my whatever color eyes he has, he happens to hear some of this gossip. And he's ready to throw hands. He's ready to whoop some ass. And, they're like, oh, we're in the palace. You can't be doing all that. And he's like, you must think I never fought anywhere else other than on the battlefield, huh? Which is hilarious. He's like, how dare you raise your weapon against us? He's like, I'll fight anywhere. We could fight anytime, any day. I don't know what's happening with my hair. There we go. Anytime, any day, any place, like you name it. Let's go. And cracks his knuckles and his neck and everything. He's like, let's go. And so then I think it's just hilarious when Hu Ji goes back to like talk to Qing Yu, because he's like, General Gu, he's a bit scary. And he tells Qing Yu why. It says, when Qing Yu heard that, He couldn't help but smile. His past and future husband seemed to have a side that Lin Qingyu didn't know about. And I was like, you like a little bad boy. Not Qingyu liking a little bad boy. Not him liking the fact that his husband likes to fight. He's probably going to be like, so what fights did you get into? You know, where you're originally from? I was like, oh my gosh, Qingyu. He said he did seduce. I mean, he really did. Maybe not intentionally, but he did. So, but yes, that scene, it was just super hilarious. And then I think, oh, the only other thing that I wanted to mention, because I had a little highlight in here, is because on page 243, when the whole marriage proposal was happening, and there was the whole yes, yes, that's fine, his brother, Qing He, was like, but the great general he's too old. And it said that Lin Qinghe felt as though Lin Qingyu was being taken advantage of. He's 12 years older than you. And so I just thought this scene was so interesting, because clearly his little brother, wasn't he like 6, maybe now 7? He's very wise. Not to say that Qingyu is being taken advantage of, but for him to even have that thought process at that age, it's just kind of like, well, okay. For him to think that his brother's being taken advantage of, you know, listening to the reasonings behind them getting married and everything, I was like, huh, I see you, Qinghe. So you said you still think of Gumang every time. I think of Gumang every time. It never fails. Never fails. So then, when we move to chapter 64, we have, oh no, he is old. I just like how Qingyu was basically like, so if I don't marry this 30-something-year-old man, I'm going to have to marry a 40-something-year-old man. Which one do you want me to do? And his brother's like, fine, the 30-something-year-old man, I guess. So he's like, it's either him or the greasy emperor. I mean, he didn't say that, but, or the greasy emperor. Which one do you want for your brother? Old man Yowie. So in the next chapter, we have the emperor granting the marriage because he can look at the bigger picture. How lovely. He can release his personal desires for the sake of the bigger picture, to prioritize his land and subjects above the beautiful imperial physician. Okay, how nice. Anyway, then he turns around and decides to issue his imperial edict that from now on, male wives cannot become court officials. I have all the problems with this, but okay. So Huji and surprisingly, Chu Jungda come out to see him out of the palace. And, you know, he and Huji are cool. Now, this Chu guy's been giving him a hard time for a while, you know, until recently. But I respect Chu Jungda's character, because I see he really was just kind of initially upset, you know, and maybe even jealous, because it was like, oh, this new young guy comes in and he's getting favor and doing this and that. But he recognized Qingyu's talent. And so even when they're walking him out, he's like, you really are wasting all of your potential. Like, you just marry whoever you want, huh? And Qingyu was like, yeah, it's because I'm so talented that I could take a break. And he's just like, get out. I feel unlucky just looking at you. It's like, I'm so done with you. He said, oh no, not the homophobia. Salty old man. And so he's just like upset. He's like, dude, you are literally wasting all your potential just to go get married. Bruh, fine. So, anyway, we move forward. He's about to leave, but Then, before he leaves, he's notified that the crown prince wants to see him. Why? Because he knows that Shen Huaishe and Qing Yu have associated with each other. And for some reason, he set that in his mind as them being close. Not even close to the reality, but he's like, do you know where he is? And so all Qing Yu does is gently guide him into thinking that maybe Shen Huaishe went to the Northern Kingdom to check on Princess Jingchun. That's not to say that's what really happened, but he's just like, oh, he did say he didn't know how she'd been doing these past 3 years. Who knows? And so there's that. So then we have moving to another scene where Qing Yu is with his parents. Specifically, he's with his mother at the time. Where's my shadow guard? And they're preparing his inheritance. And, they're like, oh, I wish we could have a little more. He's like, we can have a little more. I'll use my inheritance. And she's like, huh? Your inheritance? Actually, let me go to that page. Yeah, because he's like, we can include more. I'll do my own dowry. Because he doesn't want his parents to have to dig into their savings. He's such a good son. He's so filial. 很孝. Xiao is filial. 很 is just very. So anyway, yeah, he says that. And he is expecting initially to have this really elaborate wedding robe and everything, because clearly in his mind, Jiang Dazhuang has this obsession with seeing him in a wedding robe. So he's like, oh, it's going to be bedecked. It's going to be bedazzled. But he finds that it's really just fine silks and not with excessive embroidery from the embroidered uniform guard. So it's just very simple, very plain. And then there's also a letter that comes with the robes, and it's General Gu whining and complaining about how tired he is, but also about how hungry he is. And Qing Yu is like, why is he hungry? Yuan Yin, I guess his servant or whatever, tells him that basically he's been working out. He's been making sure that he's not eating as much because of the comment that Qing Yu had made about his abs not being as, firm as they were before. And so he's just like, hey. Everything about his frame was fine as it is. And so he tells him, just tell him, I don't like men who are too thin. He should eat properly. So, tasteful. Bada bum. And so then I have a note. It may have been a note I already went over. Oh, yes. Since we're finished with this chapter, there was one other thing on page 254 when Xiao Cheng wanted to see Lin Qingyu. He goes on basically in the final parts to be like, you were so eager to remarry even before Lu Wancheng's corpse has gone cold. And he was like, as I thought, you can't live without a man. But how could an oaf like Gu Fuzhou satisfy you in bed? A sickly invalid like Lu Wancheng couldn't have done so either. If you had been with me earlier, perhaps you would have tasted heavenly pleasure. Xiao Cheng, just shut up. Just shut up. That wasn't even necessary to say, because it's not earlier. So whatever you were capable of before, you're impotent now. Just shut up. Anyway, so it is what it is. And then even when Qing Yu mentions oh, you must really care about your guard, your shadow guard, then he froze. And he was like, I'm not concerned about his whereabouts. I just want to punish him. And he's like, okay, well then bye. Mm-hmm. Hated it. It's as oily as oil in the fast food fryer. Heaven. Right. What heavenly pleasure? Hmm? I ain't gonna lie. Now that I've said heavenly pleasure, I hate to relate it to this because this is the GOAT, but my brain just thought about it. But it's like in Enter the Dragon in the beginning of the movie when Bruce Lee is teaching one of his students and he was like, it is like a finger pointing away to the moon. And then the guy is looking at the finger and he's like, don't concentrate on the finger or you missed all that heavenly glory. I don't know why that reminded me of that. I think it's just the word heavenly. Heavenly pleasure, heavenly glory. Anyway, I love that movie. It's been a very long time since I've seen it. Like so many years, at least a decade, but as always one of my favorite quotes. So, moving moving forward to chapter 65, we have Chingu spending the majority of his, days with his younger brother, just passing the time until the wedding. And then when it is actually time to get ready, he's speaking to the matrons of honor about proper prep, from makeup to bodily preparations that we, talked about in Discord for those of you who are there. And, oiling himself up and those things. But they inform him that General Gu was like, do whatever you want. Wear whatever you want. So you can wear a trash bag and he'll be just fine with that. You could wear not an ounce of makeup. He'll be just fine with that. You don't have to put oil anywhere, and he'll be just fine with that. And I was like, oh, he's really he's really making this the most comfortable for Qingyu as humanly possible. Because all of these decisions before, when he married Lu Wancheng, Lu Wancheng, they weren't in his control. But with this, he's like, okay, I'm going to give you your wedding robes. It's not going to be too elaborate. It's going to be simple. You don't like wear makeup? You don't have to do that. You don't want to put stuff on you? You don't have to. Why? Because we're not even doing that. Like, that wasn't even something that they were speaking about. Bye-bye. He said, oh, yes, thoroughly, right? You can come as a worm. Yes, bye. Have fun. Whatever you're doing, have a good night if it's nighttime. And so, so he could wear a trash bag and be all good. So then Qingyu actually considers if there was truly no other way out of their troubles other than marrying. Or was it simply that he just was choosing to marry Jiang Dazhuang once again? And I was like, I think that's a great question, Qingyu. Was there truly no other solution? Or were you just like, okay, that didn't work, so I guess we got to get married now? He would love him as a worm. So, yeah, I lost my place. Yeah, basically, he was like, I just went ahead along with the marriage instead of thinking too hard about another solution. So then we have the wedding procession is headed by General Wu Zhan and other military officials who are all friends of General Gu. And Qingyu is carried by 8 people, which is an honor given to the first wife only. Yeah. He might not still be into girls. Like, switches eye a little bit. Qingyu. This close. So close. And so, after, he's done with the procession, since General Gu has no relatives, which, oof, that sucks, Duke Wu, the old 80-something-year-old or whatever, he sits at that seat of honor, and he is giddy. Like, he is happy for General Gu and everything. He's happy to be in this place, to do the honors as a parent, if you will. And then, once the wedding is done, Qingyu, he waits in the bridal chamber, General Gu gets drunk, a little bit too drunk. So then when he finally gets to the bridal chamber, he is upset because he sees that Xingyu has already taken off his veil. And so he actually leaves out and he comes back in like, did you really take off your own veil? Meanwhile, Xingyu had considered, this was just like for show and stuff. So I'll just take it off myself. We ain't got to do, blah, blah, blah. So after he got his fill of looking at Qingyu, his anger lessened because he was like, man, God, he's like so freaking good looking. Like, no homo. This man is fine as hell, basically. And so he was appeased. Like, he was okay. In fact, let me see. Yes, where the hell did that veil go? Like, I put it there. Shouldn't I take off the wedding veil? He was like, it was in the way. And so he was like, say that doing that was wrong. Quick, say it was wrong, and I won't be mad. And then Qingyu is just like, I didn't wash my face or undress, though. So, like, I didn't do those things, so you still see me. You can undress me. I'm not saying that's what he meant, but so it said he felt slightly peeved. I'm trying to find it. Oh, yes, here it is. Gu Fuzhou abruptly came to his senses and looked at Lin Qingyu dazedly. He gazed at the huadian between his brows, at his eyes rippling with emotion, at his crimson lips, at the corset cinching his waist. He looked at the beauty who could ruin an empire. Heleno of Troy, just add an O to make it a boy. Heleno of Troy, in wedding robes that Gu Fuzhou had personally chosen, watching him quietly, a hint of complaint in his eyes, as if he were saying, why did you only just get here? And so from seeing him just all like that, with him looking very nice in the candlelight, he said, I think you've cheered me up. Mind you, still into girls, though. Like, this was all no homo. Clearly, So then he even gets close to him, hugs him, buries his face into Qingyu's neck. They fall on the bed together. And he was like, oh my gosh, I drank so much. And he's like, who forced you to drink? Because he was like, they just kept pouring the drinks down my throat. He was like, well, next time pour the drinks down their throat. Okay. And so then we move forward and I'm read these. I love how obsessed he is with certain things with Qingyu. What matters to him is him most is so telling, right? You also know Qingyu knowing it enough to still wear it. Exactly. He's like, I know you wanted to see these things, so I wore them for you. Because he already knew beforehand, like, you were obsessed with seeing me in wedding robes, so here you go, buddy. So then when Qingyu is just, in the bed, and he's being held by Gu Fuzhou, he calls him Lao Po, which again is a way to say wife, but it literally means old woman. And so what does Qingyu do? He tries to get back at him to retaliate, and he's like, don't call me that, Lao Gong. I'm like, Qingyu. If only you knew what that really meant. If only you knew what those words really meant. Because you're retaliating, but I don't think you're retaliating the way that you were not calling him eunuch. Okay? It made me laugh so hard. He just hasn't said it. He said, hold on, I missed several comments. Whoa. Demanding wifey. Our transmigrator is aware since life before he isn't into girls. He just keeps acting. Retaliate. I mean, he was retaliating because he thought he knew what it meant. But like, sir, if you knew what it meant, you'd realize this was not a retaliation at all. You just called him husband. And he just called you wife. So then coming to this off of that, Gufu Joe admits, I'm not straight anymore. Also, the back of it keeps like scratching my neck. I'm not straight anymore. And then Chingy is like, um, where aren't you straight? Where aren't you straight? And I was like, yeah, that's a great question. One down, one to go. And so um, what in the world does that even mean? You know? And he basically is just like, it means I have a crush on you. I want us to date. And Chinyu says, you want to crush me on a certain date? I'm sorry. I wish that I had the like original text in Mandarin just so I could see just like how it was written and directly like the misunderstandings as far as like the homophone sounds. You want to crush me on a certain date? Yes. That's exactly what he meant, Qingyu. And then Gufujo falls asleep. So, oh my god, all the face palms, right? Using this modern lingo, right? Because he's too chicken to just say it the way it is. But look at them. Oh my gosh, look at Qingyu. He looks so freaking beautiful. Oh my gosh. And look at Gufujo. He just looks blissfully drunk. He's just like, heh. So that's them. He said, bruh. So then we move on to chapter 66. In the morning, Lin Qingyu felt someone beside him move. Who was that someone? Minghe, get out of the way. So, it was very pretty. They fell asleep in the same bed, and Qingyu's hair is trapped under him. So, you said, can't wait for him to, right? To go ahead and just be like, yo, yes. Oh, this little gremlin thing is so cute that you just put in the comment. So his hair is trapped under Gufujo, and he's so upset he's ready to poison someone. Because Qingyu, like the moment you are upset, you just want to poison someone. Just please do me a favor and never be so upset with your husband that you poison him. Just make sure that these urges are delegated to the right victims, okay? But anyway, instead of poisoning anyone, he decides to pinch Gufujo's nose to wake him up, which is very effective. He can do that. So Qingyu, he got up to get ready for the day. But General Gu was basically like, hey, this is our first time ever sleeping together. Let's sleep some more. And Qingyu agreed. He agreed. So what do? They just lie there and they're chatting. And one of the subjects that comes up, of course, is Xiao Jie. Things are going well with Xiao Jie and the general. Like he wants to come over and see his spear or whatever, his sword, spear. Trying to remember which one. Whoa! Oopsie. Hold on. And he's got clothes hanging on it. I'm trying to find it really quickly. Yeah, his spear. And he's got clothes hanging on this thing. He's like, yeah, it's a good clothes rack, you see? So anyway, they're still chilling, talking, And then what happens? Salted fishing is contagious. It really is contagious. Very, very contagious. What happens? We have the accidental penis touch. Glory. Your mind's in the gutter. This is the perfect moment for your mind to be in the gutter. To see a spear. Is that what you're talking about? But anyway, well, speaking of spears, one gets accidentally touched. And Chingyu froze. And he's like, freak, has he been hard like this whole time? Not only is it an accidental penis touch, the penis is hard. So, with that, oops. So with this, we have him like freezing, like, oh my God. And for a second, Gufu Joe is, surprised as well. But then he's like, wait, what kind of reaction is that? What, you think boils are gonna sprout on your hands or whatever? And Chingyu is just like, no, I don't think so. And he was like, well, you didn't act like this before. Like, why are you changing up your acting? Normally you're like, what hasn't a physician seen? I needn't be shocked. And so then Chingyu goes back and he's just like, okay, maybe it's just because you're currently in General Gu's body. And he's like, what does that have to do with anything? And he's like, well, I admire General Gu and I have for a long time. I don't want to disrespect him. And so he's like, hypocrite, you've already crawled into my bed. Now you're claiming that you're not used to my current body. And he was like, nope, you're right. I think my hand's going to break out into boils. And so then General Gu makes fun of him later in the day. He's like, everything still looks fine. Wondering when those boils are going to break out. It's just so funny. And so, gosh, it's just that I love that this whole time, Megan, whole time his heavenly pillar was just like, plus 100 satisfaction points. And so, oh my gosh. So then, Chingyu finally, he lets General Gu see the Jiang Da Zhuang tablet. Now, this scene is very important, I find, because when he sees it, he's like, who's Jiang Da Zhuang? And of course, he was like, that's the name that you've given me. So that's all that I could go with. And he was like, but you knew I was joking. So why would you take it seriously? And I loved here we have Chingyu slams the lid of the chest with a loud bang. And he was like, what else could I do? I stood no chance of guessing your real name. I asked you, but you wouldn't tell me. And Gufu Joe is just like, well, when did you ask? And he was like, during the first week after your death. I was like, whoa. Honestly, there's a little bit of that grief coming through. Okay. And so, he was like, he only knew it was a dream and he even felt ridiculous talking about it, but he couldn't help himself by this point. He was like, I asked you so many times. I chased after you asking, but you still walked away without looking back. And then Gufu Joe was like, that wasn't a dream. He was like, wait, that was like a co-op dream? Like, that was me. That was me for real. And so Chingyu was like, wait, you know about this dream? And he was like, yeah, after I woke up from it, I was in General Gu's body. And he was like, so it was you. And he was like, yeah. And then so he was just like, I thought that if I died, it would be easier for you to forget about me. And Chingyu is just like, sir, I have an eidetic memory. What forgetting am I doing? I even remember the specific rooster that I had to bow to heaven and earth with. And you think that I'm going to forget about you? Someone who made an impact on my life? He didn't say that part. I did. And so he was just like, I just figured it would be easier, if I didn't come back, And then so he's like, okay, I'll tell you my real name now. So then Chingyu is just like, nope, I don't want to know anymore. I don't care what you call it. It has nothing to do with me. And General Gufu Joe, he's just like, oh no. I've made you really angry. Like, this is the angriest you've ever been since the whole Sean Fleischer thing. And he's just like, nope, I'm not angry. Nope. And then it's just, he really was angry though, because when he thought about the loss that he'd felt after waking up for that dream, he wanted to choke Gufu Joe to death. Not poison, but choke, which is more effort. He was so angry and so hurt, and just it was nice to see the grief finally come through, even if he wasn't as dramatic as I was being right now. But, it's just really, really sad, and then so Gufu Joe, of course, he's like, well, you probably won't feel better even if you touch my abs. So how about you bury your face into them? And Tingyu is just like, I'm so done with you. I'm probably going to break out in boils if I do that. And that's the end of the chapter. That was perfect. He said he's pissed. He's mad. Right? Love them so freaking much. Their dynamic is hilarious. It's the funniest. So then when we move to the second to last chapter of the day, right? Vulnerable communication. Absolutely love it. We don't have these weird, crazy misunderstandings that are just like going on forever and ever and everything. It's like, nope, I'm pissed. Bruh. So then, moving to chapter 67, we have, not the abs, both Hualu and Huantong have their own opinions about the marriage. So, here's the thing with Huantong. All he had to do was be impressed by Gufu Zhou, and he's fine. Not only that, but he is Lin Tingyu's servant. So if Tingyu wants to do it, then he's like, well, I approve it all the way. Like, he felt a little sorry for young Marquess Lu, but, I mean, the general is a great hero. So he's kind of like, okay, it is what it is. Meanwhile, Hualu feels very resentful. Like, bruh, have you forgotten about the young Marquess? And this guy was the one who treated her like she was his younger sister. And so she's like, seeing that you want to be with this other general, you've already married this other man. Like, he's just so upset about it. So, and then the nerve even to also have brought the bunk bed that Lu Wancheng specifically had made. I ain't gonna lie. I feel it. Hualu. I feel it. Using the dowry. He's like, I'm only here because he told me to watch after you. Oh man, Hualu. Give me a hug, girl. Give me a hug. So then we go forward. And Gufu Zhou, he already knows what she's thinking, what she's feeling. And he decides that he wants to be mischievous. Why? Just because. Y'all tell me what that means. I really don't know what it means. Follow is us if we didn't know. Oh, I know. Follow is me. Look, at this point, I finished this volume. I still want my Wancheng back. I want Wancheng. I've never been so upset about a transmigration before. I'm like, what? He died in the first one? In the first body and went to another one? Bring me the other one back. I mean, I don't want him to be sick. But I really loved Lu Wancheng. And so, I have totally lost my place. So, basically what they do is they play this little game in front of her, and Qingyu is just like, first off, he's getting his first taste of like grilled or barbecued food or something. And that's pretty awesome. I was like, okay. And it's mutton? Yes. And so Gufu Zhou is actually feeding him and he's just letting it happen. And Hualu is just getting even more resentful. And then Gufu Zhou is like, hey, did you eat roast meat with your late husband? And Tingyu's just like, what in the hell is he doing right now? Gufujo, I will poison you. And so then Gufu Joe is just like, I heard the young Marquess was weak. He needed a wheelchair to go everywhere. He couldn't stomach greasy foods like this. How could you have had any fun with him? And so then Chingu is just like, you're right, General. It's a good thing the young Marquess died early. And Huala was like, oh, how could you say? And so then Gufu Joe is just like, so who do you like better, him or me? And Chingyu's just like, are you done? And he's like, you can tell the truth. I won't envy someone who died. And so he's like, fine. Chingyu sees Hualu on the verge of freaking tears. And he's like, in that case, I preferred young Marquess Lu. And she was like, my lord. Oh, okay. Like, oh my gosh. And so then Gufujo pretends to be upset about it. And he's like, oh my gosh, how can that be? Has anything I've done displeased you? And he was like, well, Marquess Lu, number one, was younger and prettier, which I also agree. And he was like, I like young, pretty people. Is that wrong? Oh my gosh. And so then we move forward. Oh, just a little. I just wanted to make a note about the whole food thing because he was like, hey, this piece is raw. And he was like, it's medium rare. And Chingyu is just like, medium rare. Well, you might as well just eat it completely rare then, if that's the taste, if that's what you want. I was like, okay. So then his words, Gufu Joe's the one who said he wouldn't be jealous, right, of a dead person. But now who's tossing and turning all night because of the young, pretty people comment? Gufu Joe. So he asks, and he's like, did you really like his body better? And Qingyu basically has to tell him, like, what matters is the core, is you. Like, you were in Wancheng's body, you are in General Gu's body. That is the thing that's most important to me. Although it does say, that Lu Wancheng was noble, whereas Gu Fuzhou was dashing. So, anyway. And if anything, he did prefer him in General Gu's body just because he was healthy. That's pretty much it. And so they're just chatting and everything. And he's like, yeah, both of you are the same. That's all that matters. And he was like, I mean, you're saying that, but I think that if I was ugly, you definitely would not be letting me put my hand under your blankets. And where was his hand traveling? To Qingyu's waist, giving it a little squeezy squeeze. So Qingyu, I'm demisexual. Let me sleep. He's like, please. Yes, the core is the same. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Can I sleep? Like, please. Right? His pride was broken. That man is always up in his head. So then, yeah, he's giving a little squeezy squeeze. And then he, is talking about the author of Huai's Revenge of the Monarch. Sorry. I feel like I'm a dog sometimes and I'm like, squirrel! Because I see FedEx and I don't even think I have a package coming from them, but I see them and I'm like, let me check. Any orders I've made? Anything coming? Move. There we go. So, anyway. Oh, yes. But he's talking basically about the author of the book that he is currently in. And it's saying that Qingyu was the prettiest person in the entire novel. No one else's appearance could take his breath away, Qingyu's breath. And so Qingyu corrected him and was like, no, someone's appearance did take my breath away. Hey, Lee. Nice to see you guys. And so he's like, yeah, no, someone took my breath away. And Gufujo's like, who? And so he doesn't tell him who though. He just says, I forgot. Like, instead of just saying you, when you am I back? So Qing Yu says that someone took his breath away. And Gu Fu Zhou wants to know who it is. It's him in his original form or something, whatever it is. But he says and said, "Me don't know. I forgot." And Gu Fu Zhou is just like, "You forgot? Your memory's so good. How could you forget it?" And then Lin Qingyu is just like, "I don't know. Go away and go to sleep. Like, stop talking to me." Yay to Megan. I'm glad you have sound again. It's secret agents. Bruh. This ain't the hood. They need to go away. They can go to the hood. Just a few exits down or something like that. But where I am, we not hooding here. We are not hooding, okay? No hood, you see? Just and so you said, where are we? We are literally about to end chapter 67. I'm about to show y'all this picture before we move on to the final chapter of the day. So basically what happens, they go to sleep, or no, they don't go to sleep. They eventually have he says he doesn't remember what Jiang Dazhuang looks like. He just remembers the feeling, right? Well, he doesn't say that, but he thinks that. So then we move forward and they take gifts to the Lin residence. And Qing He got a sword. And General Gu was not very happy about being treated like a stranger by Qing He because he's already met him in Lu Wancheng's body. So he was like, "Hey, how did you address Marquis Lu, Marquess Lu?" And he was like, "I called him Wancheng Gugu." And he was like, "You can address me as the same." And he was like, "Okay, Uncle Gu." Because he's thinking same sentiment. Obviously not the same words because you are not Gugu. You are uncle. You're old. So that was really funny. Oh my gosh. And then moving forward, we have that Yuan Yin is basically telling him to take over Qing Yu. He's like, "Hey, you have to wake him up in the mornings now. It's so difficult. It's like I could never get him awake." He's like, "Don't worry. I have the perfect solution." So we don't have to worry about anything. Then in the morning, he very successfully gets him awake by pinching his nose. And he helps him get dressed. Like he sends away the other servants and everything, helps him get dressed, walks him to the gate. It's so very nice, so very domestic, so very... Look at that. Y'all are about as straight as a squiggly line. Like, look at the look in Gu Fu Zhou's eyes. He's just like, "Oh, this is my wife. This is my wife." Let me see what your comments are saying before we go to the final chapter. You said you can't do you can't not do the stupid joke, right? Y'all still haven't explained to me what this means because I heard it before like a couple months ago and I asked what it meant and I was told it means absolutely nothing. But I don't believe that. I don't even want to say it because I don't know what it means. So what does that mean, those two numbers together? Am I too old to know? Is it like tricks are for kids? Like when I go to the grocery store now, I see tricks in just little balls. If I were a kid, would they still be the flower shapes? I don't know. He said UOKD. Yeah. Yeah, they made it at the beginning of this chapter. It's literally nothing. I'm ending this live session. I'm ending this live session. It's so stupid. So then we go to the final chapter, 68. Liu Shiba. Okay. Hello, everyone. What's going on? Hello, Vico in the kitchen. We are in the final chapter of the day. Probably would have already been on it had we not had some extracurriculars going on. But yeah, we're in the final chapter of the day. You used to work with kids as well. I mean, I did too, but that was some years ago, and this joke was not a thing just yet. Theory time. Almost theory time. Right after this. Oddly enough, I had it up on my phone the entire time, but after everything happened, I moved it from my phone. So I'm glad you reminded me because initially you weren't going to have to because I just had it up. Um, okay. So here we go. Moving on to chapter 68. The court officials are discussing the war between Great Yu and Western Xia. Both the emperor and the crown prince are sick, sick, sickety, sick, 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 sick. They look awful. They smell awful. They sound awful. They're awful. Okay. And they're super greasy. Like everyone can see the grease like protruding out of their skin and okay. Maybe that's not true, but they are super greasy. Maybe everyone can see it metaphorically. So anyway, they're super sickety sick sick sick, and Xiao Cheng, well, he'll never be the same since that stab to his lungs. His life, it just ain't gonna be what it is anymore. But who cares? Because we sent him to the well, and I'm kind of just like, bruh, you climbed it. He climbed out of the well, waking up from this coma. We need to throw him back down. Anyway, everyone thinks that it's time for General Gu to return to the battlefield. For obvious reasons, right? Because the other guy said, hey, we're losing some battles. We're losing some morale. We need you to come back because you won every single battle. So please come back. Please. So then General Wu Zhan, defends General Gu's right to stay in the capital. He's like, he just got married. He ain't get a chance to warm his bed yet. Like, let him be here with his wife. Okay, I'll even go. Give me 10,000 elite soldiers and we'll go to war. We'll go help out right now. Meanwhile, General Gu is like, and so finally, when he's addressed, at first people think he's just like thinking really deeply, right? And then it's like, General Gu, and he's like, right, yes, yeah, no, it's not a good idea for him to go. I don't even know what's going on. He just sees General Wu Zhan thinking he probably volunteered to do something. And he's like, no, it's not in his best interest to go. He's not really suited for that kind of battle. Like he's better in this department. No. And General Wu Zhan is like, and he's just not reading that. He's not reading the eye communication. He's like, look, I am ready to risk my life for the great empire. Okay. I'm willing. However, Wu Zhan then argues, no, his physician said in order for him to live a few more years successfully, that he needs to stay home and convalesce. He needs to stay home and heal to improve his health and everything. Meanwhile, his physician is Qing Yu. It's Qing Yu. And so he was like, yeah, he just needs to rest in the capital. Meanwhile, the crown prince contributes absolutely nothing to this meeting. Like, his father is so upset about it too. He's just like, you have got to be kidding me, sir. Like, I named you crown prince. What are you even here for? So he's not very happy with his son. Oh my gosh. I love it. Also, let me read these comments. You survived class. That's very good. Very, very good. Yes, and I just looked at the thing on Discord. That's exactly how I would take him down the well. So then, where was I? Yes. After this meeting, we have eunuch Xiao Songzi telling General Gu that the emperor's migraines are getting worse, and they have been since the winter. Nothing's working. No acupuncture, no medicine, nothing that Lin Rushan does is working. So it's clear Qing Yu will be called back soon. because Qingyu is the only one that can help the emperor, because that's the way that Qingyu designed it. So, when General Gu gets home to his wife, he suddenly doesn't want to die on the battlefield. But let us go to page 289. What did he say when he was talking to General Wu John? And he was like, but if I don't go, General, you'll have to go. Are you willing to abandon your new wife and stay in the desolate Northwest for so many years, returning as an old man? And he's like, naturally. A man's ambitions reach all the world's corners. How could I let romantic bonds confine me to a certain place? Let's just go and travel over to page 291. Fuck. Let my romantic bonds confine me here until I die, please? Didn't you just say that you weren't going to let them confine you into a certain place? All he had to do was see him. See him playing Wei-Ti against himself, sitting there with the piece between his fingers all absent-mindedly, and he's like, God, he's so divine. He's so otherworldly. Confine me here until I die. Okay. So then what ends up happening is he calls Lin Qingyu Lin Qingyu. And Qingyu is just like, almost said something. Did this boy just call me Lin Qingyu? So anyway, I had a black person moment, if you will. But he was like, do not call me that. I do not like that. You do not call me Lin Qingyu. Just Qingyu. That's it. You don't call me by my full name. I am not in trouble. We do not do this. So anyway, he said he's fine and he's mine. Qingyu is GOAT. Period. So anyway, yeah, he was like, I'm not used to that. Don't call me that. So basically, of course, we know that the medication that was used to treat the emperor's migraines is indeed, the wings of golden silkworm goo. And so he's like, yeah, your wedding leave is going to be ending soon. Emperor is going to need you. So in the middle of the night, we have Qingyu waking up and he sees the general thinking deeply about the new general from Western Xia and his tactics. Okay? And he thinks that they're interesting, is all he said. And Qingyu is just like, why don't you think about this during the day? Like, why are you up at night thinking about this stuff? And he's like, during the day, I just want to be a salted fish. So it's like, okay, during the night when you're supposed to be sleeping, you want to be thinking? Ew. So then we move forward. And he said, that's Dr. Lean to you. Right? Like, excuse you. So we have on page 293, he's thinking deeply. And he's got his calligraphy brush. I want this one because it's got words on it. He's got his calligraphy brush and he's just thinking very deeply. And he's giving Lin Qingyu some flashbacks, some trauma, basically. And he's like, God, as long as he's thinking hard, I'm going to get splashed with ink. So he's like, so Gufujo stops and he's like, what? And he says, do you want to get me dirty again? And Gufujo blinks. And after confirming his intentions, he smiled. Oh no, I think I sort of do. Yeah, I can't do it. He wants to get Lin Qingyu dirty, y'all. Also, let me scroll up to this theory. That's the end of the chapter. And just for the sake of it, because this isn't a spoiler, I'm going to read the opening of chapter 69. It says, after we got, oh no, I think I sort of do. Gufu Joe really wanted to do it. This was absolutely unbelievable. Well, it wasn't like he hadn't thought about it during the past 19 years of his life. Any healthy man thought about it somehow during puberty, and he's been no exception. When he was 13 or 14, his father had solemnly taught him a biology lesson, then insisted that he hold himself to the strictest degree of self-control and respect for others. He still remembered how he'd felt after the first time he jerked off. What was it? My wrist hurts so much just for that? I'm sorry, that was it? My wrist hurts so much just for that? It felt good, of course, but it wasn't even close to worth the effort. He was lazy, but he also cared about personal hygiene. Even if he was doing it by himself, he had to shower before and after. The entire process took more than an hour. Frankly, he preferred to use that hour to get more sleep. Later, when he was about 16 or 17, he discovered that his classmates, especially the boys, seemed very interested in that kind of thing. His friends had once shown him a video that should have been off limits to teens like him. His friend got so aroused that his entire face turned red. But he had just felt bad for the man in the video. He had worked for so long without stopping, sweating buckets. Didn't his back hurt? It looked so exhausting that he felt tired just watching it. When he told his friend his thoughts, his friend seemed gobsmacked, declaring that he must be disinterested in sex. He disagreed. He wasn't disinterested, just too lazy to move. If his future wife would put in extra effort, he would be happy to do it. Corn actors unionize for hard work. In any case, he outwardly appeared to have no base desires simply because he was so lazy. Even if he liked someone, he never thought about them in that way specifically. Was sexual desire a requirement for liking someone? Must he want to fuck the person he liked? As long as they were happy together, everything else was okay with him. He only realized from Lin Qingyu's question that he did, in fact, want to have sex with his wife. Even if it was tiring, it would be worth it. Having sex was actually the relatively polite way to put it, because he wanted to use more vulgar words. He wanted to dirty Lin Qingyu, wanted to leave all kinds of marks on his body, wanted to stain him with his scent. He even wanted to whisper obscene, dirty talk into his ear. Funnily enough, he wouldn't have even realized that he had such a kink if Lin Qingyu hadn't used the word dirty. After recognizing his own desires, Gu Fuzhou suddenly felt so greasy, so perverted. Why did he have such a depraved side? If he started lusting over Lin Qingyu's body, what would make him different from someone like Xiao Cheng or the Emperor? He felt like a soldier sitting up in his deathbed in shock, having realized that he had been the bad guy all along. No. Wait. The bottom line was that Lin Qingyu was his wife. What was wrong with lusting after his own wife? The others lusting after his wife were the bad guys. That icy beauty could only be admired, not desecrated. But he really wanted to. I just felt that was necessary. I felt that was extremely necessary. Because I ain't even gonna lie. When I read the first 2 pages of chapter 69, I was like, he's like a totally different person. I said, we just unlocked a whole new person here. Because of course, he didn't get to experience that in Lu Wancheng's body, even though he still, had the natural bodily function to be hard in the morning, morning wood. But now, he wasn't even thinking about it that much in this time, even though he's still, the accidental penis touch. But here I'm like, Jiang Dazhuang, who are you? I was like, we went from whatever before to barely realizing that, oh yeah, you weren't straight anymore, to you want to dirty him, leave all kinds of marks on his body, want to stain him with your scent, and want to whisper obscene, dirty talk into his ear? Lord have mercy. I missed so many comments. He wants to be a pillow princess. Oh gosh. And on that note, I gotta poof. Have a lovely whatever time of day, everyone. Bye. No, not Ace. He is demisexual for sure, and just lazy. Hello, princess. They are both somewhat ace coded, but I speak with having read it all. Getting demi vibes. Salty fish. That is your wife. Right. You've established a relationship with this man. Feelings. It makes sense. Come on. They just gotta look at him and like, give me. Nom nom nom. Greasy assholes. He said Demi is on the ace spectrum. Heh. Currently giggling up a storm. You're welcome. If it's because of this, at least. He is having some thoughts. So yeah, I hope y'all continue to enjoy that chapter. Let me read Auxiliary's theory. So here is Auxiliary's theory. Theory idea. I don't know what your voice sounds like. Possible spoiler. So I wonder if the next secret code will be the ring instead of words. This ties into my other theory of the end of book 2 spoiler. Next body? Could it possibly be the dumb prince? Hashtag final boss. Okay, that was it. So that is Auxiliary's theory. Because we've already talked about this before. I don't think it was the last live session, but we talked about it one of those live sessions. Just, it's called Thrice Married to a Salted Fish. So we're all feeling like there's gonna have to be a third wedding. Like, this is with us having not read everything, even though there are some people who have read everything, like NFS. So yeah, secret code, potentially the ring, and then maybe the third body will be dumb prince Xiao Jie. We shall see. He said, ooh, interesting theory. So with that being said, you'll have to think about that. The next chapters, the rest of the chapters 69 through 73, that's the end of the book. Read them. Read those chapters so we can discuss. I'm ready to discuss because I have my own theories as well. And my personal theory comes from these last few chapters. So me no can't say anything. I hope y'all had a blast with me despite our rough start and our rough middle, slightly over the middle. So yeah, we're done chatting about all of that, and so we can just chat, if y'all just want. But yeah, we are about to be done with this, and I'm super duper excited about it. And I will let you all know when I have a more clear idea when we will be starting The Wife Comes First, Volume 2. So, of course, for those of you who have bought it and you have it, you are more than welcome to go ahead and start reading it if you want to. I totally understand. But next week is my break week. So I will not be reading anything, even though you'll still be getting content because I have read ahead and I am still reading ahead up until well, up until I'm basically out of time. Like, I end volume 5 on Saturday. I'm probably not going to start volume 6 because I still have Sunday and Monday. I don't know if I'll read things on Sunday and Monday and then have to stop, and then that'll just like, if I go to volume 6, I don't know if I want to do that to myself. But yeah, my break is from next Tuesday to the 23rd, which is the Monday after that. So this is our final. Next Monday will be our final session on Salted Fish Volume 2. Let me see what y'all are saying. I have a couple other things to say. You had so much fun. Oh, it's 1:42 a.m. Bye-bye. Have a beautiful night. Yes, it is very late. Bye. He said waits for you to end the book to watch you not read. Listen, leave me alone. Leave me alone. And you know what? I'm not sure yet if I'll even be interacting in Discord for that week. I might be completely MIA. We'll see. But at the very least, maybe I'll still be there. But yeah, just so y'all know, speaking of volume 6, we will be reading it this month live. So we'll see when we get there. But that's specifically going to be Head Disciple and Peak Lord tier. That's still in the plans. I know I said that the latter half of the month could change. It's still in the plans. I just haven't created the thingy yet. But anyway, never what? What are you saying never to? I'm waiting for you to respond. Didn't you say you was leaving? Oh, well, I'm glad that you came. Yeah, go ahead and get your sleep. You spaced out for a second? Yeah, it will be QJJ, and it'll be volume 6. Yeah. I'll be, as long as things, depending on how things go next week, it'll still be that plan. We'll just see. But that's the plan. Actually, we're supposed to have 2 readings, but we'll see about that. Anyway, I don't have anything else to say about what we read. All I know is that it was very hard for me, right? Already. Yeah. We're about to be at a point where soon we'll be pausing. Yeah. Actually, I will try to take my time, I say, with volume 6, because if we do start it the week after I come back, that is, we'd be done so early. But volume 7 comes out, what is it, April 14th? And I don't want us to have to wait potentially a week and a half. So either I'll read it slowly or I'll just wait a couple days before we get started on it. That way, the only thing we have to wait on is volume 8. Ayo! Volume 6 came in the mail on time. You will have R. R, mateys! What is R? You'll have R? You will have R. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You will have time to read volume 1 of The Wife Comes First. Yes, please read it. It's really good. It's very, very good. I'm going to make sure that once we get to that point that I start listening to my own recaps so that I can refresh myself. Because I'm like, shoot, what happened? Like, I remember the general consensus of everything that happened, but as far as like nitty-gritty details that would be important for enjoying a story, I don't necessarily remember all of those. So I got to go back and listen to myself. Yay. I'm probably going to put the video on 2 times speed and listen to myself. But fingers crossed The other two get delivered in a timely fashion around their release date. Right. Right. Because I am still thinking about getting the special edition, even though normally I wouldn't. Um, just because I normally don't care for like the extra goodies, honestly. Which I think I'm trying to remember this time around, QJJ Special Edition is coming with a paper standee, which was one of the reasons why I really did want it, but 4 postcards, sticker sheet, and a bookmark. Oh, yeah. And with some special guest artwork. Okay, yes, I will pre order that. Okay, yeah. Because I just don't be caring for the posters. But there's no poster. So I shall get this. And I have a coupon. Volume 7 and 8. Yeah. 2 times speed is so real. Yes. You usually do 1.45 for my videos. Nice. You know what? There was one point where every time I would listen to myself, I thought I was reading too slow. And so I was like, I'll record and then speed up my videos by like till 1.25. But then I was like, no, I don't want to do that because I even heard it and it sounded a little sped up. So I was like, no, I'm gonna leave it alone. But then I see comments from people saying like, oh, you read at the perfect speed. And so I'm like, okay. Some people need it at this speed and they can just listen to it at that speed. And if they want to speed it up, then they can do that instead of me speeding it up. So, um, yeah. But yeah, I usually, when I re-listen to my stuff, it depends on what story I'm reading. Like right now, I'm re-listening to QJJ. Don't ask. How am I re-listening? We still reading. um, and I listen at anywhere between 1.5 and 1.7 speed on Spotify. Yeah, that's kind of where I am. But yeah, I'm hoping that actually what I'm going to do for volume 7, I'm probably going to go to the store and get that one. So there's no delay. And then of course since it's so far out, I'll pre-order volume 8. But yeah, you guys, I'm on the almost final stretch of volume 5. You said that's fast? I mean, sometimes I listen to certain stories of mine at 2 time speed, just 2.0. It's perfect for me. But and then every now and then a story I listen to is just a tiny faster. You said SVSSS is really fast for some reason. Like, how do you process that fast while reading? Well, see, the thing about SVSSS is because since I've read it 2 times beforehand, I truly didn't have to worry about processing things. And I could just read. Yeah. It's not like with me reading QJJ, where I'm going to have to go back and re-listen to the chapters I'm reading right now. You really usually watch shows in 2 times speed. Skip the boring parts. I wish I could do that, but for the things that I've watched, they usually, unless they're on YouTube, they didn't have the option for me to speed up. Because I genuinely would speed up some of the things I watch as well. Because sometimes I'm just like, it's a little bit too slow. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. But yeah, we are over halfway through QJJ. And I'm not gonna lie, I was in my ARHA group chat and kind of like, I don't know what I'm gonna do when we're done with QJJ. Because QJJ has been so good. It's been so good. And technically, we haven't finished it, so I still can't say if it's taken first place or not, because, Thousand Autumns has been there since I read it. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I don't want it to be the case where once we move to the next book, I hope I can move forward with excitement still. Like, I don't know if I'll need a little break or like okay, let me breathe after we finish QJJ. Or actually, not even after we finish QJJ, after we finish volume 7, because that's right around the corner. And like still having to then move to something else. I don't know. Yeah, I don't want that post series depression. I really don't want. I don't want PSD. I don't want it. Because I'm trying to think. I had it. I'm trying to think of the last series where after I read it, I was just like, ugh. Everything is just like, ugh. I can't remember at this moment, but it was something. Actually, I think at the time it might have been TGCF, which is why I was like, fan fiction. I am not over this yet. I can't let it go. The story can't be done. We're just going to make alternate stories. Yeah. That's one reason why you reread almost immediately once you finish the series. Yeah, I have no idea why I'm rereading QJJ in the midst of reading QJJ. What am I doing? I don't know. But anyway, I won't continue to ramble. Point is, finish the book for Monday. Okay? Finish the book for Monday. And I'll see you guys in Discord for those of you who are there. And well, Eineman. You never refix for TGCF for some reason? Hey, that's okay. That is fine. But I will tell you, no paths are bound. It's where it's at, bruh. That's one series you couldn't do that immediately with. Going back to reading Copper Coins. I hope you enjoy. Have a beautiful day and or night, you guys. And I will see y'all Monday. Yes. Bye-bye.